Hi, welcome. In this video, this is part 4 of my response by way of the objection point, okay, when it comes to reconciling the core ingredients, influence and control by way of a process. And here again, leading up to the clip, okay, that is put into Murdaugh's video here, where he's attempting to basically um, take this clip completely out of context, okay, lack of depth, to try to showcase his own appearance-based method. Which again, I'm going through as I do the series, going through all the issues and how again we talk about a counterfeit picture. You talk about people getting blindsided. Well, this is a important point here when it comes to how trainers are engaging, okay, a relationship problem. I talked about this whole issue about movement, okay, about even using certain devices, and the issue about control itself, how control can offer up a false picture of a balanced dog. And this is how people get blindsided. Again, go watch the Showdown with Holly video I did by way of Cesar Millan. Again, Murdaugh's approach is very, very much Cesar Millan like. You'll see again the exact same type of blindside happening based on assumptions. So again, I talk about the role of leashes, in terms of being able to reveal, to be able to change, to get real-time information so you don't get blindsided, especially again when you are interacting with dogs that are at that level, have gained a lot of control in the relationship. You bad things can happen very fast. But this whole thing about, again, I talk about this whole thing about movement, okay? Even about getting into a flow of things, right? Be very aware about the problem with appearances. Appearances can be very deceiving when it comes to how you're perceived that way. Things can look a certain way. That's how dogs can be moving around, responding, look fantastic. And then, 1 minute later, trying to tear your arms off. And people wonder what's going on here. Is there something wrong with the dog? No, there's everything wrong with how these trainers are, what their focus is on, a lack of depth, a lack of even understanding what a process even is, and they're operating totally off assumptions. This is where again I talk about the question of the century, the criteria. What's the criteria they're using to establish that perception dogs are changing the right way? Well, the very criteria I talk about, influence and control, are not part of what their focus is on. It's not part of being reconciled the way I describe. So there's your problem. Understand this is where people get blindsided. So it's all about understanding your role, and again about setting in motion the right picture of change. So let's play some more of this leading up to the moment where he takes one of my clips and tries to construe it a certain way. Okay.
Okay. It's when he walks ahead. That's when I want to give a little bit of tension up.
Same thing. So here you see he's using the halty. This dog's just spinning their head, okay, investing, looking. And those moments are problematic because it's about fulfillment. Okay, it's like a drug. You need to cut those moments off. It's about shifting the dog's focus onto the owner. The dog's already starting to make those connections, in terms of, because understand that's what happens. Why, dog, you're fading out of the relationship. You need to fade into the relationship. Everything comes through you. Okay, it's how everything filters through the relationship that way. So it's a big deal. But see, he's in the same thing here, same track. It's not his default setting because he's not dialed in that way. Okay. It's very apparent. You watch any of his videos.
And then when he locks in on something in his
See? So he's talking about locking in, and dog's locked in right here. Okay. I mean, look at it. You can't get more locked in than that. And he's talking about dog lock. I mean, it's crazy, right? I mean, that's what I talk about. I mean, you can say the right stuff, right? You can say the right stuff, right? And that's what's happening here with this train. You say the right stuff, but your actions have to align with that. Like identify it. I mean,
goes to the side. That's when
still locked in.
Pull to the side to be able to
See, and then he shifts his body over here. I mean, this is all. It's got to align. The right. I talk about the right conversation to the method. It's very specific.
See how much calmer he is?
Yeah.
See, so right there, he's talking. Oh, look how much calmer he is. Right, he's floating. Right, he's moving. What I just mentioned about the story I just said about the guy in the UK, right? But it's common. Watch this.
See how much calmer he is?
let's get moving. Wrong thing to be doing.
Yeah.
It's get to a point where the whole idea is that he's got to earn a little bit more.
This has got so much chop. He's got more chopping and editing than Zach George. I mean, the chop, just everything's all cut and spliced here.
Okay.
He shows me he's following me, and he's not going to engage in all these problematic behaviors. But it all
Letting the dog invest, sniffing on the ground and stuff.
in the state of mind. Then I can give him a little bit more leeway.
That's what I talk about. I mean, you want the focus to maintain on you. Okay, so when you're going when you're going for the walk, you see me how I do the walks. Take the dog to the bathroom first, right? Let the dog express, right? Urine. Because here's the thing: when dogs gain a certain level of control, they'll withhold a certain amount of urine in their, in their body just for the express purpose of marking. But as their perceptions are changing, it's very interesting with the right method, not this method, with the right method, as their perceptions are changing, they'll start to release all that urine when you take them out to the bathroom. It's so interesting. Like, you'll be able to piece it all together. So when they're out in the walk, you don't let the dog be marking out. You want the dog to be beside you. You're intercepting those moments. Dog's focus is changing on you the right way. And then at the end of the walk, then you want to do something fun, but don't tie it in. Like the problem here, the danger is if you're if you're not dialed into the right method and you're not, again, influence and control are not active the way I described, then you can get some fast movements and certain things happening in response. It can look great. And the dog's mind's already jumping ahead to the play game, whatever, because the dog owns everything anyway. See, it's about, you have to get to a point where the dog truly knows everything comes through you. Okay, and it's about relationship. Okay, that's what takes the stress off the dog.
A little bit more freedom. He showed me there. He was doing really good. I'll give him a little time to do that.
Okay.
But you decide when that time starts and when.
See, this is just like, this is what it is. It's just like it's just surface. Okay, it's the only way to describe this stuff here.
That's the first time he's ever used the bathroom on a walk.
Yeah, it is.
He would
Yeah.
hold it the whole time.
Yeah.
Well, we just made his.
So never seen him calm. So he's interpreting this as all calm. Just say ever peed on. They never seen him calm before. The two calm control. Okay, control itself and give the dog a level of control. It gives them that sense of appearance of calmness. Like, you can't go by this. Understand that this is not the way to be. You don't. There's a way to interpret the right way. Okay, there's a litmus test. Okay, there's a way to test, and that's the good news about it. This is all just assumptions, and besides, this is totally opposite to what you should be doing.
This is the calmest I've ever seen him on a walk.
One thing I want you to notice over the course of these videos is the difference between when the owners are walking him and when I take the leash. And so this is why I disagree wholeheartedly with people that think using a choke chain and keeping tension on the leash is the right way to go about things.
So here we go. Okay, so now he brings my video in here, right? So yeah, you see, okay, I have the choke chain up high in the dog's neck, right? Now there's a dog opposite here. Okay, so I'm at an angle already in my neighborhood. Okay, I have that baseline going on. So his objection point is right here. After you watched all that, right? So he's talking about go and influence the dog in the most effective way possible. This isn't it. Well, what's that based on? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I've just talked through all of it. So I spent 3 videos going through, but here's the thing. So here, right, in his face is like, so this is the objection point.
This somehow means you're reconciling influence and control when we can see a clear difference in somebody.
So here it goes. Do you think this calms the dog or increases the stress level of the dog? Well, what's the context for him for stress? Like, how's he dialed in to even determine what is stress on the dog? How that stress is released? Okay, talk about that, right? So there's a stress that's active on the dog throughout as the dog's holding control. Because in the video, you could hear his dog whining and carrying on, okay, on the loose leash, right? And I talk about control will offer a false image of like stress even leaving the dog. Control. Hey, I'm in control. The dog will appear calm. So you'll see lots of dogs wagging their tail before they bite somebody. But again, here, this is about, we talk about taking stress off the dog. This is how you truly take stress off the dog, okay? But there is that interplay here of the dog not liking, all right? Because here I'm stopping. My house is around the corner. I'm stopping right here at the point where again, there's a dog, in the kind of periphery of the dog I'm handling. I'm stopping, I'm working the angles here. I'm intercepting this dog's state of
Somebody
mind.
who's handling a dog and using a leash in a tense way, you could see the dog becoming anxious and stressed as a result of that.
So this is again, you go on Zach George's channel, okay, you'll hear the same rhetoric, right? So again, talk through. So it's the same thing, increases the stress. So because he doesn't understand that Murdaugh doesn't engage this way, that's a problem. Okay, understand. So here, kinetically, even again, I talk about the baseline. It's where this is a big, powerful dog I'm working with here. But I'm just like, all I'm doing is just taking my time, just moving slightly, and I am applying tension, okay, control. At certain points here, I'm intercepting at the same time as this dog is investing.
And then when I take the leash, immediately the stress and anxiety and the whining and all of that goes away because I'm introducing a
Yeah.
much different energy.
So here you see the dog's head turning towards me right here. Okay, and again, when I talk about baseline, it's just again the times I'm bringing that baseline down just enough there, okay, to maintain a level of control. But I want to bring this dog into a state of relaxation. That's what I'm doing, working through this. It's like working through it. The dog understands that this dog isn't trying to attack me. This dog isn't growling at me. This dog is like there's a level of not liking. But again, think about the whole parent-child thing. The child doesn't like the parent getting in their airspace a certain way, right? So the intent is here. The dog understands the intent because I'm offering up, right? In terms of another dog on the other side, I'm working this dog through that. I'm not just moving because here's the thing: you move fast. You see movement, right? Trying to move through it isn't about having the right conversation, actually fixing it. I'm stationary right now, and I'm challenging this dog's state of mind. While I'm communicating with the dog, hey, I own that other dog. I want you to relax. I don't want you investing that way. I don't want you fixating. And so I'm turning this dog slightly as well. But this is what takes the stress off of the dog. Here, see, he's trying to package this up, right? According to his appearance based idea of things, no consideration or critical thinking as to the reasons why, beyond appearances.
Energy when I take the leash from the owner. It's important to
Things
understand
happen.
that reactivity does not mean aggression. In Cooper's case, he is extremely
Happen.
reactive and very, very forceful about him.
It happens. So see right here. So you see this see the head turning over. Just so I'm setting up just the periphery. Let's just like just out of the corner of not straight on. So it's like the ability to be able to work the angles too. So I'm relaxed. And so here you see a little bit more. It's pulling because I got the GoPro moving on my body at the same time. The GoPro is attached to my hip. Okay, so understand that what you're seeing here. You're seeing a little bit more movement. So it looks like because the GoPro is actually moving around my hip at the same time. But see here's the objection point right here. Right,
wanting to get to another dog, but he's not aggressive.
Then I start to move again. Okay, so once again, working the mind, working the mind, working the mind. Then move. Not just move and try to walk through it. Okay, it's like I am having a conversation at that point where the dog is investing.
Most
Okay,
of the time, when he finally makes it to the other dog, he wants to play with them. Now, there have been some cases where there are dogs where he's not fond of, such as the next door neighbor dog, and that is more of a conflict, but he's never been aggressive towards another dog.
so and again, so here he's trying to pack up. Well, he's never been aggressive towards another dog. But again, we get this whole thing about off leash. Dogs will again gain control with other dogs off leash and submit, okay, and appear calm. And then you'd be thinking, oh, look, they get along great. And this is why problem in dog parks, okay, because again, the only way to know is again through the relationship being attached. Again, you get a leash on the dog, you start to, put intentional control. The dog just can't bypass you, can't just, move beyond you that way and start to filter it the right way. Then you'll see the real deal. Okay, so it's always leading up to that point of again establishing right relationship. Okay, through the owner fading in. So here again, the same thing, taking a clip right out of context. So again, I want to show it's no different than Zach George, the objections of balanced dog trainers, and so he's trying to put himself in the special category. But again, going through all to say, well, just look, he's not dialed in that way. You can see it in his videos. I talk through all of it. So the point of objection is the critical, mass, so to speak. It's the critical point. It's the point of everything. Is that conversation? You see me having it there with the dog. It's about working through that, and then as you're doing that, being consistent, the dog lets it go. as they start to walk through. But if you watch the videos and take them in context, say that video you took that little piece like that at a point where I'm engaging that way, but you go watch the whole 14-day process, right? You're going to see how it all comes together and be able to put things in proper context. But that's what not what these trainers do. Okay, they'll try to take something and try to offer up a comparison to try to highlight their appearance based approach. So all to say, okay, through this series of videos is you can put all this to the test. Okay, everything I say you can test it, but watch again. I encourage you to watch my videos. I got lots of content on my YouTube channel available for free. If you want more content, okay, you can go in what's called the member area. This is what I called it. And that option is a great option because I have a ton of instructional videos really helping you dial into these concepts, how to do them in a way to maximize agreeableness, okay, keep the level of challenge, at the lowest possible level. But in terms of creating a real picture of change, because ultimately that's what you want. This stuff like with these trainers, it can look good from the surface at a certain point or certain points, but trust me, it's not the type of picture you want to be trusting. Okay, you want to know. But again, you can put everything I say to the test. You start to apply influence and control the way I show at certain points. You're going to see it. You'll see that contrast. You'll see how the dog. You have to ask certain baseline questions. Is what you're doing reasonable? Why is your dog getting pushy that way? What's going on? And then apply it to everything else going on in the relationship. So again, the member areas there, I have courses. If you're a trainer, okay, who's looking around and have questions, I have courses available. I have a couple online courses, my introductory and advanced courses. They kind of prepare the way. They're online courses set in motion for the on-site courses. So if you're interested in being a trainer, you can take the introductory course, the advanced courses. They have exclusive video content, really getting you dialed into this system of training. And then the on-site dog trainer course is a week in person here in Florida, and it's a great opportunity. So once people take those courses, then I'll announce a date for the actual dog trainer course. So, but you can also do the dog trainer course as an online, way forward. But again, that can be more challenging for people. I definitely would encourage, if it's possible, the in-person course. But the online trainer course, it's not a week, it's amounts to like probably 2 3 months depending on the individual. But there's options. All to say that the system of training works with the individual so that you're able to benefit and be able to help other dogs and owners, and again being able to really get dialed into the system of training. So my training guides are available again on Amazon Kindle, so exclusively on there. You can check those out as well. And I have my FaceTime option, so there's no commitments to that. Just a matter of saying I got some additional questions I want to ask Dale, and doesn't matter if you're a trainer, whomever, dog owner. It allows you to have like an hour, no matter where you live in the world, and be able to benefit through that option. So you can check out my website, k9pack.com, the letter K, number 9, K9PACK.com, and all the information's there. All the options are there. And again, thanks for watching. Okay, hopefully this provides some further information, insight into the system, to help you move beyond appearances. Understand this is a complete original source system. This didn't follow someone else's. Of course, you have to start somewhere, but this is original source system. Okay, I wrote books, Mind and Body. I went Skinner, Pavlov, into all of it. I put everything under the microscope years ago. Asked the questions these trainers never asked. And again, it's challenging on because it appears different. Okay, but I talk about what matters. I talk about those core concepts, how they're reconciled through a intentional interaction-based method that makes sense to the dog, that makes sense to the dog owners, that produces a real picture of change. So thanks for watching. Hope you have a great day.